Welcome, friends of the Greasy Shop Rag. Today we're going to take a look at a Husqvarna128L string trimmer. Customer complaint is that he just couldn't get it started. Looking at the air filter, it's typical used filter, needs to be replaced. Not trashed with debris, but it's dirty. Looking inside the fuel tank, things don't look quite right, so let's dump this fuel out. Take a closer look. Thought I heard a little plop there. And sure enough, the fuel filter is laying inside our funnel. Without the weighted filter on there, that fuel line won't necessarily sit in the bottom of the tank where the fuel is. And that could be a contributing factor as to why he couldn't get it started. The other problem with the fuel filter not connected is if the machine did run for a while with it disconnected, it was getting unfiltered fuel. And that could mean debris in the carburetor. Holding the carburetor on are two 8mm sized nuts. They kind of hold this air filter base in place. You'll need to move the choke lever to get this off of here. And we see that our fuel lines they're intact above the tank. But we're going to replace them. I mean, if the filter falls off, that usually means that the line is deteriorating. Now, I always kind of get to this part where I decide what route I want to take, but then I look into the cylinder and make sure that it's a worthwhile effort. So I find that they put a new spark plug in here at some point recently, although it's the wrong one. Looking inside the cylinder, it's just fine. Clean and shiny, no scoring. So there's one fuel line. There's a plug that went on the end of one of them. And here's the return line. They're, again, not rotten, but not great. That one's nice and flexible. I don't know if that's the right size, though. This one looks like it might work. So the advantage of those lines not being totally crumbled is that I can kind of measure their length. So I cut a taper at the end, cutting this taper extra long because I know this line is going to pull hard through that small hole in a tank. And with the longer taper, I can get more of the line through the hole for me to grab. The other thing I do is, on a unit like this, where there are two holes in line from the filler hole, is I install the farthest one away first, because the method I'm using to pull them through, if I installed the close one first, I'd have to work around it in the tank to get to the far one. I know that's super simple logic, but until you've installed them backwards, you don't really realize that right away. So I stretched the fuel line and I was going to put it on the carb, and then I just remembered, oh yeah, there was no filter on that line. I want to pull the carb off and take a look inside. And she's stuck on there pretty good, hey. There we go. Use this wrench to pop it loose. Now our throttle cable, that's got a Z-bend in it. There's only one hole where it can go into. And if we just open up the throttle a little bit, we can make some slack for that cable to pop out of there. And there we go. We harvested one carburetor. We're just going to blow the schmutz off of it. Alright, first we're going to look at the metering diaphragm. Two screws hold this cover on. I don't know why I'm not using the magnet on the back of the carb stand, but whatever. This is an older video too. So there's our metering diaphragm. It's stuck on there pretty good. It's probably original. It's not like potato chip crisp kind of stiff, but it is stretched and wrinkly, and part of the gasket stuck to the carburetor. It's due, so we're going to replace that. Just scraping that excess gasket off of there. Then we're going to look at the metering lever height. In this case, it should be flush with the sides of the carb, and it was. Now on this side we have, I was going to say primer bulb, but I didn't want a bunch of people jumping in there telling me it was a purge bulb. It really doesn't matter what you call it. And then we have the fuel pump diaphragm. But underneath it is the micro screen. And if you take a close look here at the micro screen, you can see that there's a bunch of schmutz in there. And that's because it didn't have a fuel filter on it, right? Look at all this debris. Some of that might have been from water. Either way, we're going to clean it up a little bit. Now, I'm not going to get into dropping it in the ultrasonic cleaner or anything like that. It doesn't look crusty in here. So I'm going to get comfortable and just take a closer look at this thing and put a kit in it. Where's our razor blade? Here we go. Alright, so this kit has way more gaskets than we need. Fuel pump pulls off, and oh, I hate it when this happens. Right. And that fuel pump gasket sticks to the plate. This is automatically 5 minutes of scraping with a razor blade to get this clean. You know, maybe there is some chemical product that could soak that in and loosen that gasket. I haven't searched for that product. I just take the time and scrape the gasket and whine about it a little bit. So this is the replacement gasket. There's 3 different ones. Just find the one you need. It matches the old one. There we go. Now that's one way to do it. You could drop the cover on top of here. Hold the throttle open a little bit so it doesn't interfere with the idle stop screw. And the purge bulb itself, it didn't feel bad. I'm not replacing it. It's got a little bit of color to it, but I don't see the point. This thing's got years of life left in it. There we go. We have the fuel pump side of the carburetor done. Now on the metering diaphragm side, we just lay down the base gasket and then the metering diaphragm. We'll lay the cover on top and screw it down. Notice I said we'd screw it down, but right here at this point, I got called away to go fill an LP tank and forgot about the screws. You'll see here in a second. I thought I had the carburetor all done, and then the cover started moving on me. It can be a challenge, you know, when your job isn't just to sit there and fix those things. You might also have to go load some bark mulch, or go to the front showroom and talk to a customer, or answer the phone, or fill an LP tank, or help a coworker, whatever it may be. Distractions are a challenge, and each person's got to figure out how to deal with those. I struggled for the longest time when I started working here with all the distractions. It's not the same as sitting at home and starting a project and seeing it through. Alright, so we got the rest of the old lines out of there. I don't even remember I thought I had that line out of there already. And we're going to cut a taper on this new line. Put a little lubricant on it. And drop it through. This one's easy to get at because it's close to the fill hole. We got a nice tight snug fit here with this line. That thing's not going to leak fuel. You got to get it pulled through here without damaging it. So I just got to get it far enough through so that I can grab the end and flush cut it. And then I'm going to put this little plug on the end of it. The idea is that this piece will prevent that hose from pulling out of the tank. If it snags on something, whatever. I can put this plug on there, then I can pull the hose through the tank until the plug gets near the top of the tank. And that's where it'll live. Alright, we got our fuel lines in. What are we looking at? We got to decide which line goes on which fitting. So you got your primer bulb and you got a fitting right next to it. That's always the return line to the tank. I just put the filtered line on the bottom fitting. But if you were to push on that bulb, you'd feel air coming out of that top line. You could seal it with your thumb and you'd kind of feel the pressure there. So now that I have the line on and the carb kind of in place, I'm just pulling the slack down through into the tank. And then we're going to cut the return line to length, and we'll push that on the carburetor. There we go. Alright, what does it look like down in the tank? I'm going to grab our fuel line. This is the one that's supposed to have the filter on it. And we'll flush cut it. The fuel filter we're using is a 5300-95646. Alright, I just want to push that filter back so it lays in the front of the tank, meaning closest to the trimmer head down there. Because when you're holding a trimmer, that's where all the fuel, when you run low, is going to be sitting. So you want that filter to reach down into that bottom section of the tank. Now our throttle cable with our Z-bend, we're just going to hold the throttle open on the carburetor, and then we'll have enough slack in that cable to drop it in there. And this really isn't a hard job, but I was just trying to get everything aimed toward the camera. So sometimes I struggle a little bit. Okay, we're going to put our air filter base back on here. Somewhere laying around here are two nuts, two flanged nuts, 8mm socket. And it looks like I'm trying to do some house cleaning at the same time here. Here's the other nut. So this 128L is not a current model anymore, but it was a popular model. They're simple to work on and they were pretty durable units. So I got to put a spark plug in here yet. This is a official Husky branded spark plug. You'll notice that I'm not going to gap it. And that's because, I mean, I've put hundreds of these plugs in. And I've checked the gap on most or many of them. And it's never been wrong. So if I pull it out of the box and glance at it and it looks right, I just accept that it is right. Is that the right way to do it? No. But I'm not going to change. It's been my experience that it's a waste of time to check the gap on those, unless they look like they're wrong. So we're going to put some fuel in this thing and we're going to see if it starts. Might have to do some carb adjustments on it. If it does start though, that's all I'm going to have for you on the Husqvarna128L string trimmer that had schmutz in the carb because the fuel filter fell off. Thanks for watching. Later. Find the high spot. Gotta get on the right screw first. Make sure it's true.
You need a saucepan.
Close enough. I'll get a filter on there. And then I'll take it outside and I'll fine tune it.
Rev tune it.
Uh-huh. And then we'll bill them. Look at that.
Goober.
Shines right out. I don't even charge extra for that.